Common for you to come across people that don't know Native Americans still exist?
Yes. And then it's the typical stereotype. You got like teepees, and like we don't even use teepees here in the woodland area.
Most of the time they all want to touch my hair, or they want to say, oh, I always wanted a Lakota, or
Difficult to because we're always surrounded by each other, but then we'll go outside the Native community. People seem to not know that we still exist, which you hear a lot, but
So while researching on Google, I came across some interesting results. A few concerning on how to prove heritage by DNA, wondering if natives have blue eyes, a few questions about flags and languages, and the most concerning of all, do Native Americans still exist? And the simple answer is yes. There are 540 recognized tribes here in the US, all with their own language, flags, and history. Which brings me to introduce Harmony Hill. Harmony runs the nonprofit Red Magic. It does a lot of events here in Milwaukee. She's the heart of the organization that keeps it running. Not only does she keep busy with other vending events, but she's an artist, painter, among other creative outlets. So it's time to introduce her.
so my name is Harmony Hill, and I am from the Oneida Nation. I run Red Magic, which is a nonprofit that supports Native American artists, Native arts, and our goal is for the advancement of the arts while challenging the dominant narratives of what fine art is.
So while creating an avenue for natives to sell art, she also gave a space for non-natives to get introduced to our culture through art, to get introduced to our way of life and give representation in the way we define ourselves. Which lead me to ask, how important is it for native representation in a modern day?
I think Native representation is very important. I think a lot of people in the Native community, it's difficult to, because we're always surrounded by each other, but then we'll go outside the Native community. People seem to not know that we still exist, which you hear a lot, but that's what representation combats.
Only 50 years ago, natives were getting snatched from their families, stripped of their cultures, and forced to conform to society's white norm in boarding schools across America. Now we have someone who's nominated for an Oscar. We have someone in the Marvel Universe. We have a show on Hulu set in modern time that depicts us as people instead of mythical creatures or casino owners. We don't just exist. We are finally getting a spotlight that's greatly overdue. Proper representation is key though, and to me that starts at events like Red Magic hosts. Genuine connection over food and art will always mean more than any form of content. But with the proper content, it can allow you to be introduced in the right way. So with that being said, use this video as an invitation to come to any local native event. We would love to introduce you properly.